Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Okay, we're on Go Show number 10 of volume 7 of Teachings for Victory called The Great Battle. Okay, and before we really get into that, does everybody already know what the Great Battle referred to here is? Yeah, they're there to steal their food. That's what they're doing. The magpies are fearless.
Yeah.
They're carnivores, first of all. I mean, they'll eat little critters. But at any rate, they're beautiful. They have our national bird. So,
3 of them.
oh, they come in. They only come in packs.
Yeah, no, a lot of them.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
Okay. What was I going to say? What was I just saying? Okay. Yeah. What is the great battle that's actually referenced here? What is that referred to? Huh? No? Buddhahood? No.
The devil
No.
king and of the 6-7.
It's actually Kosen Rufu.
Kosen Rufu was a great
Okay.
battle. Yeah.
And frankly speaking, it's basically now this is the Daishonin saying this, where he says the devil king of the 6th heaven, fundamental darkness, which isn't an entity, it's the fundamental aspect of the original state that is delusion. Okay, the devil king of the 6th heaven has roused the 10 kinds of troops, and in the midst of the sea of sufferings of birth and death is at war with the votary of the Lotus Sutra, to stop him from taking possession of and to wrest away from him this impure land where both ordinary people and sages dwell. That was from page 139. That was just the first paragraph. I'm not going to go any further than that right now. Okay, because President Ikeda is going to give a whole lecture on this, and of course we just lost President Ikeda 10 days ago, and so President Ikeda is also going to talk about his great battle. Okay, and the truth is we all have the great battle. Okay, we all fight in the great battle because each of us has the great battle. Each one of us is a votary of the Lotus Sutra, are we not?
Yes.
Okay, so that means that this whole concept of Kosen Rufu is a responsibility that we have taken a vow to fulfill. Okay, that's why it's a battle. We have pledged ourselves to resolutely challenge this and to come out victorious for the sake of all humankind. Okay, so it's not a small or insignificant concept because it goes way beyond personal benefit. Okay, personal benefit is the inducement that gets you to start to activate the mind of Buddha. Okay, once the mind of Buddha is activated, then you sense this responsibility. When you read it, you're talking about me.
Yeah.
You're talking about me, and the Go Show is filled with that. And I finally really have come to the understanding. I mean, the reason I can't go very long today is I have been crying my eyes out 4 days. 4 days over President Ikeda's passing. Because I know this is the crucial moment. And probably as much as anything, I know that my life is about to change. Everyone's life is about to change. The world is changing. A new age is occurring. We're now in a digital age, okay? The communication that could take place could not take place unless it was in person in the past.
Right.
Okay? Now I'm sitting here talking to you guys personally, but many, many other people are listening to me as though they were sitting at this table.
Yes.
Okay? So, or they will have a chance to once we publish this. So the thing that we talked about weeks ago that we really didn't go into any further, because I could see that this whole lecture series was almost like, I'll be honest with you, I read this as his a goodbye. Okay, so it's like he left the most important messages to the end. And they're all beseeching us to take on the mantle of the mentor ourselves. Okay? So there's nothing. I came to the realization, understanding too, you know, it's very strange that YouTube has now consolidated all of our stuff. We got, I don't know if it's because we got over 300 videos or it's like so many hours of stuff, or if it's really because there are enough people that are watching it that they know that there's a demand. But the reality is that this has been established now, okay? And there are people that are practicing that are not able to get to meetings. It's not conducive to their life anymore, or they're from a new generation where they just don't hang out in groups anymore.
Right.
Okay? And what we're losing right now is we're losing the youth as it relates to a consortium, a consolidation, a point of strength. We've stopped growing the youth. We've all grown old. Okay? And we weren't hip enough to bring the youth with us. Okay? So my point is that right now, this whole concept of SGIP, it should be just SG caps, IP lowercase, because it stands for not internet practitioners, but, pardon me, not independent practitioners, but internet practitioners. Okay, and you can be an internet practitioner and still be a fully blown going to meetings because you live in a metropolitan area and whatever. Right. But it's the 21st century, and we're now talking to a worldwide audience, not a local one. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so I really think that this needs to happen now. I mean, the thing that motivated me to open my mouth big and wide in the first place was that whole thing with Koshikawa, okay? And I look at Koshikawa and I know that could be me. What's to keep it from being me? Am I a better person than Mr. Koshikawa, who's donated Kaikons and every other damn thing you can think of? No, okay? None of us are better than each other. Okay, none of us are worse off than each other. We all have the same challenge. We got to do human revolution. We got to bring out our Buddha nature. We've got to express it in a way so that it's obvious and it's real. Okay, and that only comes from study. It's always been the reason. That's why the faith, practice, and study, that's why the study was always stuck into that. Okay, because it's not an optional part. It's a vital part. Okay, now with 300 videos already sitting there, how many people, I say this more to the people that are out there because my friends around the table are limited into the number of people that they know as native English speakers. But those of you that are native English speakers, I've never asked anybody for likes. I'm not asking for likes now. But I am saying I would appreciate anybody that knows somebody that is segued away from the organization for the moment. If nothing else, send them a link. Send them a link. Let us start to be a lifeline to pull people back into the organization. Because until you initiate your relationship with a Gohonzon as a bodhisattva of the earth, none of this is going anywhere anyhow. Okay? This is all about understanding the Gosho and understanding the teaching that says we're already Buddhas exactly as we are. Okay? And we have the power in our lives to change anything in our lives and to leave that legacy of power for others to be able to emulate. That's the whole deal. Why don't we come back? We don't come back to earth. That's generally, we're bodhisattvas of the earth. How many lifetimes do you think we're going to spend on earth? Did we spend any lifetimes in Shoho or no, we're in Mapo. Zoho. Did we spend any time in Shoho or Zoho? The first 1,000 years or the second 1,000 years? No. We only come at Mapo time. We come to do the mop up. We do the hard work, okay? Why do we do the hard work? Because we're the only ones capable of doing it. That's why we volunteered for this space in time, okay? At some point in time, further on down the road for Kosen Rufu, you're not going to have to go through nearly what we go through. We know the difference between practicing in a non-Buddhist country and practicing in a Buddhist country. It's tremendously different. Okay? So the key is that everybody needs to learn to read the Gosho and understand the message. And the key message that I have floated out there with every time I've read, generally, has been whenever I could find something from President Ikeda to refer to as a point of reference, because I don't want to take on a responsibility of trying to lead some sort of different thing. This can't be different than the Soka Gakkai. And the reason I'm saying SGIP, lowercase, is it's not Soka Gakkai International. Soka Gakkai International is a group of different varying organizations that are divided up geographically. This is the world consolidated on the basis of digitality, if you understand what I'm saying. I'm saying it's a new age, okay? We've got to figure out who's going to lead in the future. And in the meantime, we've got to hang on. So I wanted to just bring up a few points. I'll read a little bit from the Gosho lecture, and then we're going to come back next week anyhow. And it's a very short Gosho. I can wrap this in terms of, but this, you know, coming straight off of the memorial ceremony 2 days ago, I just couldn't do it today. I couldn't do this Gosho lecture justice. I just want to bring up some facts, though, that some of you that are younger may not really have access to. I mean, after how many years before President Ikeda became president of the Soka Gakkai did Josei Toda die? 3.
3?
3.
Only 3.
Yeah, only 3.
Oh.
Only 3. I mean, at that point in time, the President Toda died then. If President Ikeda became president at 30, okay, and started practicing when he was 19, he was only an 8-year member when President Toda died, okay? And the whole deal for this SGIP is Soka Gakkai. We should be focusing on Japan, okay? If we're going to be plugged in and mainlining something, it should be Japan, because it's not replicating what we're doing locally at that point in time. Secondly, it should be something that's devoted to mastering the Gosho, because the whole idea is that as we grow older, we should all become mentors, right? You can't become a mentor if you don't know what the Gosho says. You know, then it's just you're passing on your opinion based on the opinion of a senior leader before you that gave it to you. What's the relevancy? What's it anchored in? Okay? So it's got to be anchored in the founders, the 3 founding presidents. President Ikeda hasn't just been preaching about himself all this time.
No.
He's been preaching about President Makaguchi and President Toda, and just kind of backing off of his space in it. Okay? Now it's time for us to do the same thing. Okay? As individuals, there's nobody that can't watch the videos again and again and again. There's nobody that can't read the Gosho again. If you'll devote the time, you can master the curriculum because you already know it. It's actually the basis of your life. You're an original disciple, every single one of us. Okay? So there's nothing that's over our head, and there's nothing that's beyond our ability to accomplish if we unite, and if we have unity, and if we don't relax right now, because this is not the end of anything. This is the beginning. This is the beginning. We're utilizing the first 3 presidents as the foundational examples of how we, as common mortals living in society, can express our Buddhahood and have a real impact on the whole world. Okay? And we're all going to be doing it in different places all over the place. Okay? So, number 1, anything like this should not have some old shit like me heading it up. Okay? Really, it should be actually led by people that have energy, enthusiasm, and that are of the age. I'm not of this age. I'm an analog dude. Okay, I'm not digital. I do my best to hang around people that are so that I can get by. But that's the point. And I don't know, are any of our, well, I know George, if he were here, where he promised he was going to be, he's not. George, worried about you, brother.
Okay.
But at any rate, I'm thinking that those details can be worked through based on dialogue. But right now, I think that this should be a youth-oriented kind of a circumstance because it's germane to that. And those people that are over the age of 50, okay, that kind of like we're either boomers or we're Gen Xers at that point in time, we have the ability to focus on mastering the Gosho so that we can be the reference point for all the questions that need to be answered. Do you know what I'm saying? It's no different in Japan right now. They already have like a seniors division kind of a thing or a pioneers division kind of a thing where really people that have been practicing for years and years and years and don't get out and they don't have the same metabolism anymore. Okay? So we can still contribute even though we're older, but we should be realistic about the fact that this isn't going to happen quickly, or be prepared for the fact that it's not going to happen quickly. That we could be, again, what is the purpose of SGIP as I've described it? It's really to tie the people that are fringy because they're not in a circumstance where they got a bunch of friends to hang with and a local circumstance that is capable. I mean, if you go into the boonies, I don't know about anywhere else, but you go into the boonies in America, the quality of what's the word I'm looking for? The quality of there's a word for it. Scholarship. Excuse me. The quality of scholarship is diminished somewhat. Okay? Frankly speaking, I experienced it. You get away from those Japanese pods of individuals and leaders and understanding of everything. You get into the middle of nowhere and suddenly it can morph into something else, and that's the last thing that we want. Okay? So what we really want to try and focus on is being able to help the people that aren't actually practicing with the organization. Because in reality, we aren't either actually practicing with the organization. But by golly, I would say, yes, we are. Because we've been getting it directly from Daisaku Ikeda. And we've been learning what he wanted to teach us. Okay? And that's why we're where we're at right now, and why I'm talking the way I'm talking. Okay? So I don't know who's going to be the individuals involved in this. I don't mind doing whatever is necessary. Okay? But this really needs to be a youth division exercise. And frankly, everybody watching on camera, there are no youth division at this table. Okay? So I'm really speaking to you in the camera. No. Are you guys really young women's division or young men's division?
No.
I didn't think so. Yeah, they're younger than me, but come on. Okay? I'm just saying. They're both Gen X. That's what I'm talking about. They're not even millennials, for God's sake.
Gen Z.
Or no, they're not Gen Z. They're Gen X. They're after boomers. Yeah, we're boomers. More of us might be boomers than I know here. At any rate, it doesn't matter. The point is that, what?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. This is for anybody and everybody. It doesn't matter what age you are, for God's sake. What I'm trying to say is if you're trying to establish something for posterity, something that's going to grow into the future, it would be helpful if you're starting from zero to have people that are going to still be around in the future. Okay? They have to volunteer for that. I know that they're out there. I already know 3 or 4 young people. They're very capable and would they've already volunteered to me. Okay? But I don't want to make it that, again, yeah, the number of people that have contacted me. And some of them are my age and some of them are not. And so there's a couple of them that I trust. And, you know, I'm thinking to try and work something along those lines. And so what we will be doing starting next year. Okay, so here's the schedule in my mind for the rest of going into the future. We see each other next week. Okay, and we finish the great battle, which we're just beginning in reality, in our lives, in regard to taking on the devil of the sixth heaven ourselves personally. Woo! That's kind of big time. Only Buddhists do that. All right. Then we're going to start the Risho on Kokoran. Okay, that's the last Go show in this series. Okay. Which would allow us to, that would be the first week of December. Okay, I will read off channel privately. No, actually I don't want to do that. Okay, I want to read it at the table with everybody again. Okay, so I'm going to read the whole Risho on Kokoran, beginning to end. Okay, now I don't know anybody that really wants to sit here for 3 hours while I do that. So I think we should break it up into 2 meetings. I usually talk about an hour and a half anyhow, and it took 3 hours the first time through, okay? There are a lot of salient points, and that was several years ago, and I wouldn't mind mentioning them again if we're going to embark on this crusade, okay? And it's not our crusade. It's not a crusade from this country to other countries. It's a crusade from people of faith to people of faith. That's it. That's it. Okay? And if we pick up some non-SGI people along the way, great. That's the way it should be. Okay? But we should have open minds, and we should have compassion for one another, and we should go forward together. Okay, so when President Keita was still a relatively young dude, because in relationship to how, you know, he was still in his 30s, I think, when this happened. What was the year? When he had his first hang on. When he met Toynbee.
That's in 1979.
79, something like that? Okay, so 79, if he's 95 now, that was 40 years ago, so he would have been in his 40s then, all right? So he wouldn't have turned the corner as being like an older 50-year-old guy. He's in the prime of his life at the point in time he has his meeting with Toynbee. So let's just start reading a little bit. We're going to read it again next week anyhow. Okay. It'll all be straight through, but the stuff that I wanted to cover here. This is from President Keita because, you know, it's like it's a message to us. Going to page 140, okay, volume 7, where it says lecture.
Okay.
I have long been looking forward to this opportunity. Let's begin, said the eminent 20th century historian Arnold J. Toynbee at the start of our dialogue, eager for us to make it a meaningful exchange for the sake of the 21st century. Okay, so it's very poignant for this moment. Professor Toynbee was 83 at the time. Oh, and here it says I was 44. Yeah. Okay, very much his junior, half his age, really almost. Okay, our earnest dialogue, which totaled more than 40 hours, took place at his home in London in 1972 and 1973. We were engaged in a search for keys to solving many of the problems facing humanity with the aim of assuring a peaceful future. This March of 2015 marks the 40th anniversary of the publication of our dialogue in Japanese, published in English as Choose Life in 1976. Unfortunately, that was published under NSIC, so I did not save my copy of it. Okay. In the course of his inquiry into the kind of a religion that might best serve humankind's future, Professor Toynbee became deeply interested in Mahayana Buddhism. He strongly asserted that the role of religion should be to teach self-mastery, stating as one of his reasons that to master oneself is the essence of religion as I see it. And this precept is, I believe, the only effective response to the challenges of being human. So, what are we really talking about? What is self-mastery? What's the ultimate self-mastery? To attain Buddhahood in your present form.
Yeah.
Okay?
To see
So,
that you have a Buddha.
right. And so what this effectively means is to be able to bring your state of life to a point where you perceive the truth. It doesn't mean you suddenly become Albert Einstein or something. It's about understanding others, understanding your own life, and understanding the fact that there's no separation between the two. Okay? And so he continues. Self-mastery means developing wisdom, which is what I was just talking about, and strength, which is what I was just talking about, through responding courageously, which is what we must do now, to the challenges posed by unbridled desires and negative emotions such as hatred that arise within oneself. It means to overcome the limitations of one's present self and strive to grow into a better, wiser, and stronger person. Okay? That's called human revolution. That's what we refer to that as, right? Mm-hmm. It's also obviously the process of becoming a Buddha in your present form. Okay? Revealing your Buddhahood in your present form. This transformation, because it actually is a transformation. You won't be the same person coming out that you were going in to this endeavor, because this is an endeavor. This isn't something casual. This isn't something that happens from going to meetings and doing activities and then going out for coffee with your friends and having every, desire for their happiness and being there for them. This is really about, I want to become the Buddha in my present form and being fixated on that. Becoming fixated on achieving the promise of the teaching that so many people don't actually quite get to because they never really believed they could in the first place. And they have no living examples to see that they can. So it's still all happy talk, but all religions are made of happy talk, aren't they? Well, it happens to be that ours is made up of the truth. Do you know that the JWST just proved Buddhism? The James Webb Space Telescope? I've already said this so much, my wife doesn't want to hear it anymore, but many years ago, when, I was growing up and I got my Michael Hunzen in 1973, as I learned about Buddhism and I then perceived and I thought about what they say the age of the universe is, I said, something's wrong. This can't be right. That can't be right. They're going to discover something they just don't have the ability to see far enough. Okay? Well, JWST has now proven the Big Bang is bullshit. There's no Big Bang. There's no Big Bang. Okay? So that, and there's probably no dark matter. Okay? So there's a whole change of perception of the world, not just the world, but the universe that we live in. They're finding multiple universes. Everything that was theoretically constructed is now validating itself as being actual. Okay? So, but the point that I'm trying to make is that, our teaching is the only teaching that can actually accomplish the goal of Kosen Rufu. All right? Otherwise, mankind's going to destroy themselves. And it'll all be arrogant dudes that do it, okay? Right now, one of the great strengths of the Soka Gakkai is that they have such strong women, such strong females. If it weren't for the females that practice this teaching of the Buddhism of the sun, the organization would not be in the condition that it's in right now. Okay? And so there's a foundation that is unshakable. We don't have to worry about the, it's not up to us. It's the will of the Buddha. So this stuff is going to happen whether you're in on it or not. And supposedly you're going to have the ability to have the wisdom to understand, I want in on it. Okay? That's what all of us are really just doing. Really, that's all we're doing. We're capitalizing on the reality we live in the latter day of the law, and we happen to already know about Nam-myoho Renge-kyo from our past lives, and we came here to propagate it. Okay? And if we can start to perceive our lives in that fashion, and our challenges in that fashion, and our sufferings and our joys in that fashion, then we really aren't theoretical anymore at all in the construct of being a Buddha in our present form. Okay? And in that process, we might lose some prejudices that we probably need to. We might be able to get over some assumptions or some sense of whatever, however we've defined life. Any place that had a rough spot that really didn't correlate to what it should have been, we will get to. We can self-correct everything about ourselves that require correction, but it's based on sincere faith. You have to want to be better. You have to want to contribute to Kosen Rufu. You got to want to be the Buddha to become the Buddha. You will not just be awarded Buddhahood one day you woke up, okay, you put in enough time. If you didn't think about it, if you didn't try, if you didn't pursue it, if you didn't contemplate it, if you didn't chant Daimoku about it, no way. It's all theoretical, and that's why there's such a thing as theoretical Ichinen Sansen and actual Ichinen Sansen. They require two different levels of perception. Okay? So, he says, he continues then, he says, this transformation at the bottom of page 140, second column, this transformation is none other than what we call human revolution. Professor Toynbee believed that religion, Mahayana Buddhism in particular, could play an important role in achieving that transformation. And I won't read much further past this. A religion that enables people to change their destiny. And so that's what I'm talking about. We want to be able to change people's destiny. If there's any power in what we're doing, unless we're just full of shit, that's what we got to be involved in. That should be the process, right? People start to chant, and they're able to effectively, reflect the extent of their Buddhahood. Okay, there's somebody ran in the, I think that's Joy. Okay. So, a religion that enables people to change their destiny, top of page 141, first column. When the question turned to the subject of human spiritual progress in his conversation with Mr. Toynbee, Professor Toynbee said, the most important objective for a human being is to improve his karma. Okay? The only way to improve it is for him to increase his self-mastery. That means when you want to chant Daimoku, you're able to overcome the function of the devil of the sixth heaven and do it. Okay? You don't continue to go around on the spinning wheel. You start to you get off the spinning wheel because you've made it a concerted decision. You're going to get off the spinning wheel and you're going to start marching forward. He says that was one of the conclusions he reached in his search for a way to overcome the evils of war and social injustice that have continued to plague human history. He felt the value of a religion that would enable individuals to improve their karma, that is, transform their destiny. My mentor, second Soka Gakkai President Josei Toda, used to say that the true value of a religion is revealed by how it deals with the question of destiny. Does one accept one's destiny? And if you're a bodhisattva of the earth, you have a destiny, right? So if you have faith in the teaching, you have a destiny. And it's not just to become happy and have everything that you ever dreamed of.
Right.
Okay? It's to have a life condition that contains all of that without any stipulations. Does one accept one's destiny and allow one's life to be dominated by karma that is a source of unhappiness and misfortune? if that's what you're all in deep on, that might be what you're doing. Or does it elevate one's destiny by transforming it into one's mission and powerfully overcoming one's karma? As practitioners of Nichiren Buddhism, we are dedicated to protecting the dignity of life, transforming the destiny of humankind in order to create a better world, and expanding a network of those committed to the realization of true peace and happiness for all people. Okay, and in the last bit there, he just described what I'm talking about. And expanding a network, which SGIP would be definitely expanding the Soka Gakkai network. Okay, expanding a network of those committed to the realization of true peace and happiness for all people. That can only be the propagation of the law that pacifies the land. That's Kosen Rufu. That's Nichiren Buddhism. Our movement for Kosen Rufu represents the unwavering response of the forces of the Buddha to the challenge of devilish functions that cause evil and misery. All Buddhists know what the source of all the bad shit is. Do you think they're not written for us? Do you think it isn't them that we promised we'd do this to? Okay? It is a continuous, never ending. That's why the Bodhisattvas of the earth are reborn and reborn and reborn, but not the same time. Okay? But here's why. Right now, this is so hard. Okay? There's not enough people that are actually doing it, right? That's one of the things that makes it difficult. It's not already fully accepted generally as being the basis of reality. Someday it will be, and it won't be as hard, and it won't require the same kind of people of faith to do it. Would we go backwards?
No.
No. We're pioneers. We got to go someplace else where it's Pioneerville. That other stuff will come to other people that have the karma for that to be the case. But by virtue of who we are right now, we already know what our karma is. Okay? And I'm happy with who I am. I don't need to have anything change. All right? So, where am I? As practitioners of Nichiren Buddhism, we are dedicated to protecting the dignity of life. Okay, let me see. I just read that. That's right. Yes. As practitioners of Nichiren Buddhism, we are dedicated to protecting the dignity of life, transforming the destiny of humankind in order to create a better world, and expanding a network of those committed to the realization of true peace and happiness for all people. Our movement for Kosen Rufu represents the unwavering response of the forces of the Buddha to the challenge of devilish functions that cause evil and misery. It is a continuous, never-ending battle between the forces of the Buddha and the devilish functions. That's what he just said. That's what Nichiren just said right here. This is the case. Since this is the case, we must never stop making efforts even for a single moment. In this chapter, we will study Nichiren Daishonin's writing, The Great Battle. It is a letter I engraved in my life during my youth, because it teaches that the key to triumphing in this relentless struggle is to remain steadfast and courageous in faith, and to strive in the spirit of the oneness of mentor and disciple. And that's all I'm talking about trying to do. Okay? And rather than me say is there anything anybody else has to add? Does anybody have anything to confront me with about anything that I said? You're in agreement with what I said?
Yes.
Okay, so can I count on you guys? Are you all in then?
Of course.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I want to know. All right. Okay, so we're going to try and start a movement together. I can't do it by myself. I can only do it with you. The only reason it's even occurring now is because of you. Okay? This is like some really weird shit to me. You have no idea how much I've cried. This is really... it doesn't matter. I'll explain it all as time goes on. But we're going to study the orally transmitted teachings. after we're done with this, we're going to go do the OTT again.
Okay.
Okay, that's where because I don't know how much I'm going to be, how longer, since I can't guarantee how long I'll be around, I want to make sure I get that out. Because I know they're already working on a rewrite on the Lotus Sutra. What is it called? However they're titled. The Wisdom of the Lotus Sutra. They're redoing that.
Oh.
When they redo that, that would be the time to do the Lotus Sutra. And that in concurrence. But a lot of people don't know what the orally transmitted teachings say. We should also be more focused. Whereas these, everybody had to go buy one somewhere. You know, we focus on what's at Nichiren Library, which really is enough to keep me busy for the rest of my life.
Yes.
I think that's where we're headed. Okay?
Okay.
So, is that okay with everybody?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
See you next week.
Yeah, what? We're done.
Yes.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Thank you. See you next week.
Okay.